Welcome to Taiwan Report News Brief, news and analysis from Taiwan. I'm Donovan Smith. Up today, Taiwan moves to help save the planet. Mixed bag on Taiwan, according to the U.S. Trade Representative. Is Taiwan a country? Premier Su slams a lawmaker who says it isn't. And the KMT slaps back. And Johnny Chang's team is becoming a little clearer. But lots of coronavirus news, so let's jump right in. In Focus Taiwan, Taiwan confirms 7 more cases of COVID-19, total at 329, again imported cases. Taiwan News. The headline reads, Taiwan, one of only 6 countries on Earth where schools are open. Now, some schools are closed where they've had students who were diagnosed with coronavirus. And I also saw something somewhere else which suggested it might be one of only 4 countries on Earth. Either way, it's remarkable. Continuing in Taiwan news, Taiwan Pro Baseball League to hold games in empty stadiums. Taiwan's CPBL to open April 11th without live audience for first time in history. Moving to Focus Taiwan, businesses unable to maintain social distancing should close, CECC. Business places at which effective social distancing cannot be maintained should close the premises temporarily to prevent the spread of COVID-19 coronavirus, Taiwan's Central Epidemic Command Center advised Wednesday. The advice was issued one day after Taiwan introduced its first round of social distancing guidelines, saying that people should stay at least 1 meter apart outdoors and keep a minimum space of 1.5 meters from each other indoors. In cases where they are unable to do so, they should wear a mask, especially in crowded and enclosed spaces, such as the mass rapid transit trains, particularly during rush hour, said CECC head and Health Minister Chen Shizhong. Now, it's worth noting, actually, that several government offices have taken to having their staff come in on alternating days, while the other half works from home on alternating days. In other words, so that means that if the people can have desks separating them. That seems to be a clever idea. Focus Taiwan. Taiwan restaurants preparing to adopt social distancing guidelines. Restaurants across Taiwan are reorganizing their spaces to comply with these social distancing guidelines issued Tuesday. In keeping with the CECC's advice, they should have they're going to move their tables to keep them 1.5 meters apart, and with a space the width of an empty seat between customers. Their restaurant tables will each seat half as many people as before, Wow Prime Corp. And Feast Together Corporation said. Furthermore, Wow Prime, and this is a big chain, by the way, it will ask its 280 restaurants to rearrange the space between tables to comply with the regulations. However, some firms say they are a little bit concerned. Tofo Restaurant Group said that while it would do its best to comply with the CECC's guidelines, it feared its revenue would drop by half in these difficult times. In the Taipei Times, virus outbreak, Taiwan joins global COVID-19 battle. Taiwan, as a responsible member of the international community, is to offer humanitarian assistance to nations hardest hit by the COVID-19 pandemic by sending them masks and medicine, as well as sharing with them an electronic system that the government has been using to track down people that need to be quarantined, President Tsai said yesterday. With the nation's daily production having reached 13 million masks and soon to reach 15 million, the government is to donate 10 million masks to medical personnel in nations most severely affected by the coronavirus, Tsai said. The nation would donate more masks when production capacity permits, she added. Now, she has been promoting this on Twitter, I saw. Taiwan can help, and Taiwan is helping. That's been her tagline here for this new initiative. Now, the nation is to donate 7 million masks to the most affected nations in the EU, as well as to the UK and Switzerland, it said. It is also to donate 1 million masks to its diplomatic allies, it added. Academia Sinica and the nation's leading vaccine companies have entered into talks with the U.S., the EU, Canada, and the Czech Republic on collaborating to develop testing kits and vaccines. The ministry has collaborated with private firms to donate ventilators, ventilator filters, masks, and disinfectant to hospitals in the Czech Republic, it said, while Catholic groups have donated goggles, masks, endotracheal tubes, and mucus extractors to Italy. And then there's a series of groups, trade offices, rep offices have been thanking Taiwan very publicly. The EU has done so as well, as one headline put it, risking China's ire. Now, moving over to the National Review, it says here, according to Taiwan's foreign ministry, 7 million of the masks, which I just read in the Taipei Times article. Now, it goes on. Keep that number in mind, 7 million going to the EU countries, UK, and Switzerland. Taiwan has done a remarkable job of containing the spread of the virus, with only 322 confirmed cases of the coronavirus and 5 deaths resulting from infections as of Tuesday. China criticized an agreement between Taiwan and American Institute in Taipei on coronavirus cooperation, calling it, quote, a political plot to pursue independence with the help of the epidemic. China shipped only 2 million masks to be distributed across Europe, while Jack Ma, China's richest man, donated another 2 million. If memory serves, actually, when they say here shipped, I think they actually sold them, but I could be wrong. Quote, today we're grateful for China's support, EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said of the mask shipments. China also supplied rapid test coronavirus test kits to Spain and the Czech Republic, but the majority of the tests turned out to be faulty. Up to 80% of the 150,000 portable test kits China delivered to the Czech Republic earlier this month did not produce correct results. Spain, which has the second highest number of coronavirus fatalities in the world, after Italy found that the rapid coronavirus test kits it purchased from Chinese company BioEasy only correctly identified 30% of virus cases. Now, this is important because the Chinese government has been trying to whitewash what it did in the early days of the crisis. Then it's been touting how much it's been helping other countries. But there have been incidences where they sent a whole series of regular flu tests to somewhere in Eastern Europe, which were totally useless against coronavirus, but they patted themselves on the back, calling them coronavirus flu tests. Yeah, and they've been sending a lot of faulty things. The reports that have been coming out have been virtually endless, it seems. Another case where things were sent to Italy, and then a Chinese businessman there stole them basically and resold them in another country. It's been a mess. Meanwhile, Taiwan has been donating only, they're not selling them, and has been very responsible, and so far there have been no reports of any faulty gear or anything like that coming out of Taiwan. So Taiwan is showing itself a far better global citizen. Now, yesterday or the day before, there was a quote in an article that suggested that China might be considering allowing Taiwan to have a representative show up as a non-voting representative to the WHA or WHO. But that was in a Japanese publication. That turned out to be false here, according to Xinhua Net, which is pretty much official word from the Communist Party. Taiwan-related questions involving the World Health Organization must be dealt with according to the One China principle, a Chinese mainland spokesperson reiterated on Wednesday. The spokesperson for the Taiwan Affairs Office of the State Council made the remarks in response to some false media reports claiming that China is considering allowing the island's participation in the WHO as an observer. To the Taipei Times, the United States Trade Representative Office praises and criticizes Taiwan in annual report. The U.S. has praised Taiwan for adopting a patent dispute mechanism, but reiterated concerns over Taiwan's restrictions on imports of U.S. pork and beef in its annual report, highlighting significant foreign barriers to U.S. exports. It also says there are several other things that they were very happy about, but once again, They're upset about the Taiwan ban on the leanness-enhancing feed additive ractopamine in pork or other beta agonists, whatever that might mean. On to the Taipei Times. Su must apologize, KMT caucus. The Chinese Nationalist Party caucus yesterday accused Premier Su Tsai of treating the Legislative Yuan with disdain and demanded that he apologize or step down for saying that KMT legislator Chen Yuzhen is unfit for her job. Prior to a question and answer session at the legislature on Tuesday, Su was asked by reporters to comment on Chen's remark on Monday that Taiwan is not a country. Quote, "Then she is not qualified to be a lawmaker," the premier said. Chen made the remark during a question and answer session with Mainland Affairs Council Minister Chen Mingtong when she asked him about his view on the growing anti-China sentiment among the public. Quote, "The crux of the matter is that Beijing refuses to acknowledge the ROC or renounce the use of force to achieve its goal of unification with Taiwan," the minister said, urging Chen Yuzhen to call on Beijing to acknowledge the ROC's existence. Quote, "Without a doubt, we are a country. However, I must stress that the ROC is a country. Taiwan is not," the lawmaker said. So, I'm going to jump down a little bit here to Jiang Wanan. He's the KMT Caucus Secretary General and a rising star within the KMT. He is rumored to want to run for the Taipei mayorship in the next election. So he says he asked Su whether he is the premier of the ROC or the Taiwan Republic. The Democratic Progressive Party's words do not match its actions, as 4 years after winning a legislative majority and reclaiming the presidential office, the party has not pushed for a constitutional amendment to change the nation's title, Chang said. All right, in New Talk, this is a local language media outlet, Johnny Chang, or Jiang Jitsun, has come out basically saying that the premier is not qualified to be able to question Chen Yuzhen's qualifications, basically. So he is strongly supporting Chen and her comments that Taiwan is not a country. To the Taipei Times, KMT introduces members of new reform committee. The Chinese Nationalist Party yesterday announced the members of its new reform committee, adding Su Qi, the former Mainland Affairs Council minister, who in 2006 admitted making up the term 1992 consensus. Now, I took a quick look here. So this is not that youth group that I mentioned the other day. Those members have to register by Sunday. Now, this is a 62-member committee, and it's divided into 4 groups focused on cross-strait policy, organizational reform, youth participation, and financial stability. All 4 of those are genuinely major challenges faced by the KMT. So it's good that they're tackling them. Now, the question is, of course, whether or not these people will, in any way, shape, or form, come up with any good solutions. That's a difficult question. Now, I took a look at, I did a little bit of searching on some of these people here. Mostly they're older, although they have 2 young city councilors from Taipei who are both in their 30s. And finally, 6 former KMT chairpersons, former President Ma Ying-jeou, former Vice Presidents Lian Zhan and Wu Duanyi, former New Taipei City Mayor Eric Chu, Wu Po-xiong, and Hong Xiu-zhu are to serve as advisors. And finally, 20 out of 22 city and county KMT heads, that's of the local KMT committees, 17 have remained in position, which suggests overall stability in the party. All right. Check into report.tw over the next few days as we're getting it back up and rolling after a renovation. Be sure to tune in tomorrow. The news is always ongoing, and I hope to see you then.